Hi everyone, welcome back to another build video. Today I'm going to be working on a paper theater, and this one is going to be PT-127 and it's made by Ensky. And the title of this one is from the movie Girl Who Leaped Through Time, and it's actually a Japanese animation. So I've actually read the book, the novel of the same name, and it's actually a novel that was written back in the 60s, I believe. And I actually read it in Korean because there's a Korean translated version, and I believe there is an English translated version of this book. So the book that I had actually had 3 short stories, and one of them was A Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and it was about maybe 120 pages long for just that one story. The movie, I believe, tries to keep most of to what the book was about, but I did notice when I was reading through the synopsis that there are certain things that they changed for the movie, for the animation, and there's multiple iterations of this throughout multiple like TV like series and movies, but I'm talking about specifically the animation. When I was reading through it, it seemed like they put more of a nuance about the consequences of trying to change the actions of the past. So for example, it will be more of like the movie The Butterfly Effect, where Ashton Kutcher's character was able to travel back in time to any point to try to change the outcomes of the future, but every time he went back, it kind of things got worse and worse, and it actually ended up hurting the people around him. So overall, I believe that they kind of kept to the original plot from the book, but there are a lot of little differences. The biggest thing was the nuance of the time travel and what happens and how it could lead to consequences, but also there are some other differences that it's kind of hard to talk about without spoiling the either the animation or the book, so I'm not going to go too much further in it, but I would just say kind of like the ending of how they end the stories for either book or animation is different, and that's all I can really say without spoiling it. So if you are curious, I recommend watching the anime or try finding a copy of the book and reading it. So I did kind of want to talk about the animation a little bit, even though I have not actually watched it. It is directed by Mamoru Hosoda. He is actually known for some of the other films like Mirai, which I did a paper theater model on recently. So if you want to check it out, you can go check out that video on my channel. And he also did other movies called Summer Wars, Wolf Children, and The Boy and the Beast. So for both Mirai and I think The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, I kind of like his style of storytelling because it's interesting because it's mostly based off of reality. It's just that there might be like a little fantasy or sci-fi elements into it, but still much gravitated towards reality. And so it's kind of an interesting kind of form, I think, because a lot of sci-fi movies are super hot sci-fi, you know, it's very knee deep into sci-fi. Well, this one has a little hint of it. Usually maybe in the later part of the movie, it kind of goes full onto the fantasy or the sci-fi realms for that kind of last climax portion. Kind of like in the Mirai film, there's like that one conductor person who like stamps the tickets, like his whole identity, what this whole train station is, like, you know, like they don't really tell you what it is, and you're kind of just left kind of wondering more about it. But I think other than that, it's mostly grounded in reality. So to talk a little bit about the paper theater model itself from Ensky, it depicts the movie poster that you've probably seen, where it's a girl kind of leaping in the air, and you have a kind of sky background, and it looks like she's jumping over a swimming pool at her school. So this is, it depicts that scene here, and I did kind of want to talk about that. When I bought this, there was one piece actually missing. I could not find the brown piece of paper that was supposed to include her hair. So if you just noticed, I actually got a sharpie and just kind of colored her hair black. And the only reason why was because I looked for about 15 minutes looking for that piece, thinking I dropped it, but then I realized that it was just never in there. So unfortunately, you know, I just had to kind of do a quick fix it for it. I kind of wish that she had the original brown hair or dark brown hair for this model, but I think because if I remember correctly, the original poster has her with dark black hair, so it is more closer to the original source, I would say. But I kind of just wish that I didn't lose that part, or actually it came with all the pieces. And overall, this model was quite simple, but there was a part that was kind of difficult for me personally, which was actually the second and the third layer actually, where you had the kind of the three heads with the swimming gear on, and those pieces were small, and it was kind of hard for me to just shape it right or position it correctly. But that was just really because the Drew kind of dried really quickly, and so it was kind of hard for me to kind of move it around too much, and if I tried to move it too much, it actually started ripping. So I had to kind of just be happy with where it was and just move on. But I wasn't too happy about the quality of how I placed those elements on the second and third sheets. So the fourth layer, which was actual girl, her name is, I believe, Makoto, and other than her with a lot of parts, all the other parts of the build or sheets were relatively simple with only a few parts. So in this case, the fifth layer is just the swimming dive board, and so you only had about maybe 4 pieces or 5 pieces that you had to glue on. And then the sixth layer would have been just the sky, which is 2 layers on top of each other. Now for the sky, I tried using the Mod Podge spray just because I want to get an even spray all over for a bigger surface, because when I try using a Mod Podge with the brush, the only problem with that is that sometimes, because I'm laying it very thin, it would actually dry on one side before I'm done applying all the glue on. So the spray was an easy way to just get an even spread across the whole sheet. But the problem was that the spray was not actually gluing on well. It was either too wet or it kind of dried too quickly. So I kind of had to mess around with it a little bit, but eventually I did get it on. But I have to say, I was not a big fan of the spray. I've tried using this spray a few times now, and I can't really seem to quite get it right. I don't think it's really great for this type of paper because it will soak the paper a little too much for what I want it to do. So it will start warping and start bending the paper and getting it soggy. So for future reference, I probably would not be using this spray. So here are the, all the layers. So I'm going to be laying down one by one, starting with the first one, which is the title screen. And to assemble them, I've already shown this multiple times, but there are a few tabs that you're going to be putting together, and so you're going to have different sizes. It's going to be a small tab, a medium tab, and a large tab. And the large tabs almost always goes onto the 2 bottom corners that you're going to be gluing all the sheets together with. And then the middle ones are going to be at the top 2 corners, and then the rest of the frames are going to go in, or the tabs are going to go into either the sides. So the way I do it is I actually use tacky glue that's inside of a small squeeze bottle with a small head, and I will just kind of glue in at the very end of the slit inside the tab, so that once I push it in, the glue just kind of keeps it all together. But you don't have to glue the whole tab or anything like that. You just have to do it at the end piece like you're seeing right now. And one thing that's great about this tab is because it's spaced in a certain way to make the best effect for this paper theater, that they would actually put in an arrow at the side that you're supposed to put towards the front. So you know that you're always aligning it the same way. And now we're putting on the last piece, and then we're going to do the big reveal. And there you have it. This was Ensky's PT-127, a girl who leapt through time. And I think it came out really great, even with the black hair that I just sharpied in. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed watching this video, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell or the notification if you want to get notified when I make new videos and I upload them.